the big news around the NFL? Shedeur and the Titans canceling their workout? That feels like that's the big news. A couple retirements. What is the big NFL news of the day here, Rap Sheet?
It kind of feels like the Shedeur thing, right? So obviously on Friday, Colorado had its showcase, not a pro day, but a showcase, which
it was awesome. I think
it was pretty awesome. I would agree with that.
Dion yelling at scouts. Dion yelling at scouts, telling them, "Hey, you don't tell my guys how to run 40s. Okay, you just got here. Get the hell out of the way." I think Shedeur did a great job.
The conversation shifted in a way nobody expected. Not loud, not flashy, but sharp and intentional. That ESPN discussion landed different, and everyone felt it. The tone made it clear. Something around Cleveland had finally cracked open. The constant back and forth between local takes and real football truth got called out without anyone raising their voice. What stood out wasn't hype or praise, it was hesitation. Real pause from voices that usually stay locked in.
ESPN talks about Shedeur Sanders, turns heads of what they had to say when it comes to Shedeur Sanders, and they was talking about majority of the Cleveland media. You don't know what to believe. They saying this, they saying that, they pushing their agenda, but we all know what we see on the field. Shedeur Sanders is a baller. You hear me? Now, Shedeur Sanders didn't get the reps doing.
That silence said more than any headline ever could about the situation surrounding Shedeur Sanders. Cleveland's been spinning in mixed messages for months, and this time, nobody tried to smooth it over. One week, the quarterback room is settled. Next week, it's suddenly wide open, reports clash, opinions get dressed up as facts, and fans are left guessing which version fits the moment. What made this different was the honesty, coming from people who actually understand how media pressure works in a market like Cleveland, where impatience drives everything. Here's the truth.
But first things first, playing quarterback in the NFL. One of the things that I've really been paying attention to with Shedeur Sanders, because really, what has to, and it comes from listening to people try to compare Shedeur and say, you got the haters out there who are saying, Shedeur's not it, he's not, and you got people like me saying, you're not looking at the big picture, you're not looking at the whole thing, or
Shedeur Sanders didn't walk into a clean setup. No full offseason as the clear starter. No preseason game plan built around his strengths. No steady protection or long-term commitment to his growth. What he got was opportunity wrapped in chaos. And when it came, it hit fast and unforgiving. Still, what's on tape can't be brushed aside. The throws are there. The command is there. The calm is there. Even more telling is how teammates react.
Yeah, what about it? Tell me about this content-driven world where we all hear everything everybody says. What's this? What's that? Who are you making happy? What things are you leaving out of the conversation just purposefully because of might be an easier landing of the plane? I mean, there's a lot of shit going on right now in reporting as a whole, but certainly in the biggest stories like Shedeur in Cleveland.
I just gave Shedeur as an example. It could be any of the 32
No, but
teams.
Shedeur,
That's a great example.
That's a great example. That is a great example.
Especially in Cleveland, because we haven't really cared about anybody talking or what they say in Cleveland, or people watching the game.
Players follow confidence. When a quarterback steps into the huddle with belief, the entire energy shifts. That gap between performance and commitment is where tension lives, and that's exactly where media narratives start bending. Local coverage feels the squeeze. Report what's really happening, or chase what the crowd wants to hear. That pressure is real, and right now, Cleveland is feeling every bit of it. So what do? Stick to safe reporting or lean into opinion because you know it'll hit louder. That balance is shaky, and Cleveland is the perfect storm for it.
Shedeur Sanders earlier today talking about if he feels like a long-term commitment from the Browns is there. Again, everyone says Shedeur is one way, and then you hear the kid talk, and he seems to hit all the right noise. Like the Dillon Gabriel thing yesterday, where Dillon Gabriel gets booed on Sunday going in for Shedeur, and everyone acts like it's his whole to-do, and then Shedeur's like, I feel bad, like I put him in a bad situation.
Yeah, which it wasn't odd.
Years of losing drain the patience dry. Every move feels final. Every quarterback feels like the last ticket out. What makes this heavier is that Shedeur Sanders isn't just another young quarterback. He's lived under pressure his whole life. Expectations didn't start when he hit the NFL. They followed him through every level. You can see it in how he answers questions, how he takes criticism, how he stays steady when things get messy. No panic, no excuses, just calm accountability.
You see Shedeur and you realize like this guy is built to be an NFL quarterback. Now, the biggest thing though that Shedeur has been doing week to week as the maturation process continues, the biggest thing that he's doing is he's almost reinventing himself week to week. And why is that important? Well, it's because to be successful in the NFL, you almost have to reinvent yourself week to week.
And that matters in Cleveland. This city doesn't lob soft questions. Every press conference turns into a trial. Every fourth down call gets ripped apart. Meanwhile, the offensive line keeps changing faces, protection collapses early, and pockets disappear before plays can breathe. That's not an environment where quarterbacks thrive, especially without a full offseason rhythm. Still, flashes keep popping. Not just clean throws, but effort plays, blocking downfield, competing when the play breaks down, doing the dirty work that never hits highlight reels but earns locker room respect. That's when the conversation quietly shifted, from potential to reality. When analysts start pointing out leadership, effort, and composure, they're not chasing stats. They're recognizing legitimacy, and the frustration comes from how long it took to admit it.
People who sit there and watch these football games and think that he's God's gift is amazing to me, considering he himself has said how many things he's got to get over. And on the other side of it, the people who keep saying, well, he's a fifth-round pick, you shouldn't even be talking to him. What planet are we living on here? What planet are we living on that we just can't come to an agreement here that, yes, he's a very popular developmental quarterback and he may get the chance to start in 2026? Is that so effing hard for everybody to understand?
Cleveland burned time cycling through options that never fit. Veteran stopgaps, projects forced into roles too fast. Decisions felt like delay, not direction. Opportunities slipped away, and now the weight lands on a quarterback who should have been prepping for this months ago. This isn't about the player, it's about the process. Cleveland's real problem isn't talent, it's belief. The roster doesn't move like it expects to win. Play calling sounds cautious. Losing became familiar, and familiar breeds fear. That's why real confidence stands out the second it finally shows up. Shedeur brings an edge this team hasn't embraced in years. Swagger without recklessness, confidence without ego, a belief that winning is real, not some distant theory. Media skepticism didn't come out of thin air. It grew from years of false starts and broken promises.
Text from a high-ranking AFC North executive on the Browns rookie. Shedeur Sanders, it's early, but wow, actually shocked how good he looks. Nike football, when you get your opportunity, create the next one. Only matter of time.
Yeah.
Ocho.
Yeah.
We could pick two plays, Ocho. Well, damn, he missed the Sam Strong safety blitz, where he had a guy ride over to the flat on 2nd and 18, and he skipped the ball to him.
But when skepticism turns into flat-out dismissal, that's when narratives lose credibility fast. Watching the tape matters. Ignoring it doesn't make problems disappear. And if you want the clearest signal, look at the empty seats. Fans don't vanish after one bad season. They pull away when they feel misled. When hope gets teased, then snatched back. Waiting until the season is basically cooked to unleash a quarterback you've been sitting on doesn't build trust. It feels calculated. If the front office truly believed someone else was clearly better, they wouldn't be drowning in this level of pressure right now. Here's the shift. Actions expose truth quicker than words ever will. Now every move carries weight. Draft talk heats up. Coaching futures hang in the balance. Cleveland can't afford another reset that pretends nothing inside the building exists. Drafting another quarterback now wouldn't signal growth. It would scream panic. Stability starts with commitment. Building around a quarterback doesn't demand perfection. It demands intention, a real offensive line, receivers who finish routes and fight for the ball, a run game that forces hesitation, a defense that creates short fields instead of uphill battles every drive. These aren't luxuries, they're necessities.
With enough on film to show what he can do if he has an offseason. Like what you're seeing right now, including the tip passes or the fluke interceptions or the woulda, coulda, shoulda reads, and still with an exceptional completion record. This really is like week 4 for him. It may be week 16, 17 in the NFL, but it's week 4 for him. Just thinking he's been playing all along.
Mm-hmm.
They have a damn winning record to be headed to the playoffs.
Exactly.
This draft isn't about replacement. It's about reinforcement. Protecting your quarterback sends a message. Investing in skill players sends a message. Choosing a clear direction sends the loudest message of all. Players respond to clarity, fans respond to honesty. Coaching decisions will define this offseason. Accountability has to land somewhere. Play calling shifts, quarterback rotations, and draft mistakes don't exist in a vacuum. Results matter, but direction matters more. Veteran contracts complicate things, sure, but they don't justify standing still. Financial limits exist in every locker room. Smart organizations plan around them. They don't freeze because of them. Having an expensive backup doesn't cancel the need to move forward with the right starter. What's clear now is the debate has shifted, not whether Shedeur belongs, but whether Cleveland is ready to commit. That's a completely different conversation. One puts pressure on the player, the other puts pressure on the organization. And that's where this gets real. The next moves will shape the franchise. Either Cleveland builds around what's already proven tough under fire, or it slips back into the same hesitation that's kept it stuck for years. The league doesn't wait. Windows slam shut fast. Confidence disappears even faster. What was said on that? Show wasn't loud, but it was revealing.
Well, in the San Francisco offense, you see him fit the ball into those small windows. Yeah. Did you see him on the move throw that touch pass? Now, the receiver made a great one-handed catch, but did you see the touch?
Yes.
So, take off. Go ahead.
Listen, I wanted to see what Shedeur would look like in a situation that wasn't advantageous to him. He didn't get any reps. As many reps as he should to prepare himself, to be prepared for a game like this of this magnitude.
When respected voices stop dismissing performance and start acknowledging complexity, that signals a shift, but naming a starter is only the beginning. Development isn't something you announce, it's something you show protection schemes. Smarter play design, patience when mistakes happen. Right now, Cleveland isn't being judged by words. It's being judged by how it responds when things get uncomfortable with a young quarterback under center. What's been missing for years is alignment. Front office plans don't always match coaching priorities. Coaching priorities don't always match what shows up on Sundays. Players are left patching holes they shouldn't have to touch. When a quarterback is forced to stabilize an unstable system, growth gets harder to sustain. Yet even in that chaos, progress shows up. Reads are quicker. Pocket movement is cleaner. Decision-making under pressure hasn't fallen apart like critics predicted. This doesn't look like someone overwhelmed. The mistakes that do happen look fixable. Timing issues, chemistry gaps, protection breakdowns. Those get corrected when structure exists. And the fan response matters. This isn't blind loyalty, it's recognition. People watching see effort turning into competitiveness. Even when the scoreboard refuses to cooperate, people see leadership that doesn't disappear after one bad series.
And you're like, maybe he
Same
does.
guy that went Wildcat
because he's done this before, and he would outsmart the room. And there's a lot of reactions that would go on in that moment. Yeah, no, but I'm listening to Shedeur, and I'm like, geez. Oh, he's right. I mean, sometimes I'm racing to get to retirement for some unknown reason, and I'm racing to like have my kids get to be 18 and all this. Like, sometimes you just got to live in the moment and be present about it. And that's interesting. In a football context, he had me thinking even deeper than like just a big life-setting life moment. There's perspective he has that I feel like a lot of people don't at his age.
That's why the frustration is aimed upward. Not under center. Media narratives will keep shifting because uncertainty invites noise. When clarity is missing, agendas rush in. Some voices hedge. Some stir things up, some protect relationships. That's the ecosystem, messy, loud, and always watching. But football has a way of cutting through the talk. Decisions eventually strip narratives down to outcomes. This offseason will expose priorities fast. If Cleveland spends early draft capital on the offensive line, that signals belief. If they surround Shedeur with receivers who can separate and a run game defenses have to respect, that signals commitment. But if they spend months flirting with alternatives and call it competition, that signals fear, and fear has haunted this franchise for too long. Fear of choosing wrong, fear of committing early, fear of backlash, but the league rewards decisiveness. Even wrong decisions made with conviction allow teams to adjust faster than hesitation ever will. The locker room feels this too. Players hear the noise. They sense uncertainty. When leadership hesitates, trust cracks. But when a direction is chosen and reinforced, accountability spreads, standards rise, preparation sharpens. Shedeur's presence already changes how opponents prepare. Defenses respect his arm, blitz packages shift, coverages tighten. This isn't about crowning superstardom. It's about recognizing the foundation. Franchises aren't built overnight, they're layered. That's why progress used to stall. What makes this moment different is timing. The league is younger, faster, and ruthless. Rookie contracts matter. And right now, there's a gap between performance and perception, effort and evaluation, potential and planning. How Cleveland responds decides everything. Does this season fade into a footnote or become a turning point? Building around Shedeur Sanders isn't a gamble anymore. The evidence is already on film. The composure is visible. The leadership is real. Now it's on the organization. Manage narratives or build a future.